don't know where my guest speaker is, but we're going to press on. Y'all know how I am about time. So it is 8:05. If my guest speaker does happen to join in, then we'll go a little longer. Otherwise, we will stick to our usual 30-minute time frame. So hello. It is a Wednesday. So good evening, my R double C, my R2C. Welcome back to another wonderful Monday, because it is what? Monday. I'm your girl, Quita Quee. I am your host for the evening. Each and every on the second and fourth, I guess I should say, second and fourth Mondays, we come on give you a little bit of me. Okay, so that means that's real, that's unscripted. This is just Quita all day. Okay. With that being said, welcome back to your mid-month fill up. If this is your first time, come on, buckle up, join in, get your little drink, sit back, relax. It is your time to come and get your mid-month fill up. So this is the opportunity, whether you're snuggled up or you're laying alone, whether it is a time for you to just see you in a different light, to open your eyes, open your ears, open your spirit, your heart, something just a little bit different, right? And resilience, we think of on a natural level, but it goes to spiritual, it goes to emotional, it goes to psychological, it goes to physical. All of these things play a part when we're talking about resiliency. So if you haven't met me, I'm your girl, Quita Quee. I'm your host. And what I do is that I give you quirky, unique phrases, and I tell you how I envision them when it comes to resiliency. And because resiliency is my heart, I do want to say, be patient with me. I get a little crazy. So, if this is your first time, I am honored to have you here. If this is the type of teaching that you enjoy, once you finish listening in, I just ask that you would take the time, do me a favor. It takes a second, but it means the world to me. If you could just take 2 seconds to like, share, and or subscribe. It means the world to me to be able to see you, to be able to bring you the content. I do this for you, not just for me. It is an opportunity for growth. It is an opportunity to get the word out, get people the opportunity to see themselves and see others in a different way. All right. So with that being said, for my bi-weekly returnees, y'all know how we do. We give it to them raw and uncut, right? We bring them the best of the best. So with that being said, today's topic is life's GPS. So when we're talking about life's GPS, what do you really think that means? How does that equate to what we need and what we do on a day-to-day? And life's GPS is that, hey, how you feel about this? How you feel about that? And I give it to you that way because this is the I don't want to just throw it. I don't want to regurgitate everything to you. I kind of want some participation, right? Kind of like when you're in school any other time, people give you the opportunity to show forth the knowledge that you already know. So if this is your first time, sit back, relax, let my bi-weekly people go ahead and show you how it's done, okay? So when you're thinking about life's GPS, what do you think that in reference to resilience? In reference to bouncing back, what does that mean to you when you're hearing that? Because it can mean one thing, and to others it can mean another. So I'm sorry that YouTube and Instagram, YouTube, Facebook are unable to see my skirt and my belt. Instagram, y'all getting all the business. So y'all work with me, okay? However, what do you think down in the chat? What do you think resiliency has to do with life's GPS? And while you are doing that, I am going to say, team, if it is, if you could, while you're thinking about it, go ahead and share it, tag somebody in the chat so that way they can come on in, they can see what we got going on here in tonight's show. And I'll just give you a hint of some things that we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking lost, because being lost is a big term, right? It's a big wide term. However, I am going to try and jump in and break that down. So yes, being able to know where you're going, and if you really know where you're going. And what about, do you know what you're shooting for? Are you going for a general location? Are you being very specific about your location? If you are at that location, is that where you're supposed to be? Do you know if you needed to be somewhere else and you went to the wrong place? So knowing where here really is. How important is time? How important is distance? How important is the route? How important is it for the time that the GPS say is going to take for you to get there? What type of things do you value in reference to having an actual GPS? What is important to you in having it? So, with that being said, those are the things that we are on. However, I do want to jump into an author that I seen by the name of Michael Hyatt, and he has a book out called Creating Your Personal Life Plan. And of course, when you're talking about the GPS of life, that's about creating where you're going to go. It's finding a route on what's the best route to get to. Do y'all agree? Yes, no, maybe so. Uh, and so when he was talking, he named 7 things that were important to having a GPS in this thing that we call life. And when we're talking about that, the first thing that he said was, requires you to input a destination. So the GPS is not going to take you anywhere until you do what? Input the destination. So that means you have to put some action first before you can get to where you want to be. And I mean, for those of you that are like me, procrastination does sometimes play a part in, because you get busy, you're tired, you're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, and then that plays a part into how you move about for the next thing, right? And do you think once you put that location in your GPS, is that a permanent or a temporary destination? And you have to think about that, because I can't answer that for you. You answer that for yourself. I really think that it is a temporary destination. And if anyone disagrees with me, make sure you put it down in the chat. And the reason why I think it is a temporary destination. Usually when we put things in the GPS, it's what? Because we don't really know where we're going, or we want to know the best route to get there. So when you're thinking about putting in an address or to a destination, it is more so to make sure that, okay, this is my what? My goal. And when you have a goal, when you're talking about destinations, it is in essence, when we're talking about GPS, we're talking about the same things, okay? When we're talking about life and life planning. And so when we're talking about those destinations, should we stop at that one location? Absolutely not. Absolutely. There's so much life left to be planned for. There's so much life yet to experience. And so when you are putting things in your destination, in your GPS to get to a specific destination, that is the starting point to get to the place, right? This is your point A to your point B, your point B to your point C. This is your opportunity for a temporary destination, but not a permanent saturation. Don't let that be where you stop. Don't let that be where this is the end all for you. All right, so number 2, he was talking about the GPS gets you to your location faster with less hassle. If someone gave you the directions, let's go back in the day when you had to get a map. And you had to figure out, if you were in the car by yourself, what did you have to do? You had to pull over. You had to make sure you're going the right way. You didn't know which way was east, which way was west. You had to turn it around. You had to say, where were my landmarks in order to find it? With the GPS, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And I say a lot of that because we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, meaning that it is going to give us exactly where we need to go, because we destination on where we're going. So it's going to give us exactly where we need to go. However, that does not mean that there won't be some things that's going to trip us up, right? So for example, there's different types of GPS out there, right? So if I had a GPS that said go west for 4 miles, I'd be like, well, shoot, what love. Right? But if you had a GPS that said, um, in 4 miles, or how about this? Turn left on this street, go 4 miles, and in 200 feet, make a right. You already know where you're. It is prompting you as to what is going to step, and it's telling you where to turn, not north, south, east, or west, because most of us don't know which way we already are and what way we're facing, right? So when we're talking about north, south, east, and west of our lives, what way is really, what direction are you in? Do you know if you're going north? Do you know if you're headed towards a spiritual growth? Do you know if you're headed south and you're at this depressed stage, that you're going through trauma, that you're going through hurt, that you're going through manipulation? Do you know what direction you're headed in before you can say, I need to go in a different direction? That's where the GPS of life comes in. Okay. Because when we're generalized, that puts us at a place, except we can be in circles, kind of like how when folks, I don't want to say men, but when folks don't don't want to ask for directions, right? They say, well, which way do you just go straight down that way? It's gonna be a fork in the road. You're gonna go to the right. Don't go to the left, because if you go to the left, it's gonna confuse you, right? Don't give me generalized, give me very specific. So I am very specific about especially when I'm dating. I'm going to ask the questions very specifically. What are you looking to get married? Do you want to have children? Are you against having someone that? And so I ask the very specific questions, because it is important when I'm talking about the GPS for my own life. I don't want to go the direction, right, for hours thinking that I'm headed in the right direction, and then it's a waste of time. Right. So the third thing he was talking about was how GPS gives you that constant feedback. How many of us in the chat need that constant feedback? Right. You need someone to still say, hey, yeah, me. I need some help. Being cool. I'm good with saying, well, what do you need help with? Or am I going the right way? This don't seem right. Then I'll reach out to someone who has more experience, more knowledge, who has a better understanding of the direction that I'm trying to go in, which is why having a mentor or having elders that have been there or that know a little bit about it, they had somebody and this is what they did, having that experience and having someone to give you that feedback to say, you're doing a good job. I know it seems hard, but keep going, because I've seen this and I know how it is. I've been there. Let's keep moving. Right. So for example, do you find feedback valuable? And for me, I do. And because I'm still looking for a home, I'm still looking for someone or something to kind of guide me, right? I'm looking for a spiritual wherewith to say, this is where I need to be. I'm going, Quita, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes I don't have a spiritual yes. So then I go to a natural, Quita, mama, granny, auntie, best friend. Do you think I'm going in the right direction? Important for me, simply because if I don't have that feedback, then I find myself still going around in circles. I'll keep making these left-hand turns when I should make a right, but it just don't seem right for me to make the right-hand turn because I'm not getting that feedback, right? And so we're talking back. It's kind of the GPS gives you the way ahead, so it can see it ahead of the time, right? If the GPS says that there's a slowdown in 3 miles, there's a accident in 2 miles, there is police ahead, you're gonna slow down, right? And there's sometimes that we need to know this, so that way we know we need to slow down in this thing we call life. We need to slow down, we need to pay attention, we need to be aware of what's going on around us. And yet I read something the other day, and it was saying that the time to slow down is not necessarily mean to stop. It means to slow down, to be aware of everything else that's going on around you, to slow down so that way you can pay attention to those that are passing by you, and then they get caught up by the police. They get caught up by the things that's going to get them in trouble. They get caught up, right? So slowing down is not necessarily a bad thing. Slowing down is an opportunity. Slowing down is an opportunity. Now you can be like, oh, man, I didn't realize I needed gas. Maybe I do need to get off on the next exit, right? Whatever your slowdown may be, it may be very well for you to take time out to reflect and to take the time out to appreciate where currently, right? Uh, so that was number 3. Number 4, GPS helps you to get back on track when you get off track. Oh, y'all, this thing hit me good. It hit me good, deep, deep. And the reason I say it hit deep is because this. How many of us have gotten off track? If I could show y'all both of my feet, I say hands and toes, right? And it's so easy for us to get off track because you got somebody over here looking all good that's distracting you, right? You got somebody else over here that's like, oh, you know, they got this sale on Amazon. Girl, this is on sale. Homie, this is on sale. Remember you said you needed some new this, you needed a new that? They got it on sale. Go on Amazon. Or let's go to the store. Let's go get us a drink. Let's go get us something to eat. You just need to take your mind off of it. And now what happens? Now it's 2 days later because you're tired. 3, you got kids stuff, right? Whatever that might be, we get easily distracted. When you're driving, all of a sudden you get hungry. But the place where you're supposed to turn off is the next. You had to go this way, but especially in Texas, now you got to go here, you got to go down, you got to do the turnaround, you got to get back on the highway. Pray for my strength in the Lord. This Texas thing. But when you're talking about getting off track, right? It's so easy. It's all it takes is one good thing. You're like, ooh, maybe I can go that way. Maybe I should do that. I mean, I can still get there, right? Then it throws you off. You have to be able to have the GPS to say, come on back. We're going right. But over here, we're going right. We're going right. Right? And that is to remind us that knock, knock, you going the wrong way. Knock, knock, you said you had to be there by a certain time. Knock, knock, this is not going to help you meet your goals. Okay? Number 5, he was saying that the GPS will reroute you whenever there's a roadblock. So what is it in your life that you consider to be a roadblock? Because we always have a roadblock, and that is a thing, right? So right now, my roadblock is finances. Finances are a big thing when it comes to talking about getting where I want to be, right? Getting to my destination. So my destination right now is generalized because I don't know which house and I don't know what neighborhood I'm going to live in. It is very generalized. So then when I'm talking about getting to a place, then I'm like, this area. Well, Quita, how do I get there? I don't know because I don't even know how to get there, right? Because of that puts me at a place to where I am depending on my GPS to get me around that roadblock. Quita, don't worry about your finances. God is going to provide. Right? Roadblock. I don't know if I'm going to work after I get out of the military. Don't worry, Quita. You got something lined up. Roadblock. You're going to make money no matter where you go because God has gifted you with many talents. Don't worry about it. Right? That's my around the roadblock. Whatever the roadblock is in your life right now, think about that. Put that roadblock with a tangible, understandable thing that's going on in your life. That is what I want you to focus on. How is the GPS of life getting you around that roadblock? And the GPS might be saying, remember who you are, remember your foundation, remember where you came from, right? And your foundation will be your GPS. Your foundation, if those of you that are not spiritual, right? If it is listening to your inner self, if that means feeling like you have to go and talk to family members, whatever it is that helps you to get around those roadblocks to remind you, at one point you was worse off than this. At least now you got a roof over your head. Still sleeping in your car. Remember when you were homeless? Remember that? Remember when you were in relationships and then they were abusing you? Now so remember whatever your roadblocks were at one, still were able to get around them. Remember, there's always a workaround, right? A reroute, a detour. Detours are not bad because detours do what? It don't mean that you're not going to, it's going to take a little longer. That don't mean that you stop. right? Don't ever think you have to stop just because it's a detour, just because it didn't look like the route that you originally set forth. My original route was, I'm going to be here. I'm probably going to be renting out a room for, a couple months, no later than, August, maybe September. I'm planning on being moving by September. And here it is September, and I'm like, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Just like that face, y'all. Exactly like that. Because then I was trying to figure out how did I get so thrown off, right? And my roadblocks was finances. My roadblocks were credit. My roadblocks, whatever they might be. And y'all know that I'm honest, open, and transparent with y'all. I try not to sugarcoat stuff too much for you, right? I might give it to you in a different way, but I like to give it to you raw and uncut. This is the opportunity, right? The opportunity to still see yourself in a different way. The opportunity to still say, it's going to take a little longer, right? But I can still get there. All right. So think about that when you're considering your goals. What goals did you have January that ain't quite making it into September? Okay. Number 6, GPS is not. What does that mean? It's not accurate. What happens when there's a new door that opens, or a new road? That to me symbolizes a new door is opened. Nobody knew. It was once a wall, and now there's a door just for you. That is where that's what I mean when I say the GPS is not accurate. It didn't even know. It didn't even know that was even an option, right? An option to be a blessing to you. And then why are you taking me around that way when this road is clearly open? This way is clearly open. Why can't I go this way? You step out on what? Faith. And then you go the way anyway, right? Now, what about when the road is closed? GPS is like, go straight. You like, I can't. They got a big barricade up saying they can't go this way. So now which way do I go? And it keeps saying, go straight, go straight. I can't go straight. Now you end up with this detour that's taking you longer. And you're like, why don't you already know that this is closed off GPS? It happens, y'all. I promise you it happens. Especially here in San Antonio. I don't know what that's about. I'm like, oh, going down to the next exit, figure out how to get back. No biggie. That's a part of being resilient, right? So with road closes, road openings, traffic, accidents, when you're thinking about everything I just said, what do you equate that with? What road closes? Yeah, roads that are closed. What do you equate that to? Relationships healthy, friendships that are not healthy, people that have misused, abused, neglected. I can equate it to people real quick. What about spending habits? That road needs to be closed. So now you get rid of the apps that are tempting for you. I need to do that, y'all. I've been shopping. Pray for my strength, okay? Right? Not closed. What about doors that are open? You were looking for a job, now you have a job. You were looking for a place to stay, now you have somewhere to stay. You were looking for a healthy relationship, and now you got someone to love you, right? Whatever that might be. Now the roads are open. These are new roads, new pathways, new beginnings. Okay. What about traffic accidents? There are things in your life that you like crash and burn. You get bad news. It's gonna take more time. It is the accidents of life. You slipped up, got in something you ain't had no business, and now it's taking more time for you to get to. Or you're having a tragedy in the family, you had a loss in the family, whatever it might be. Now we have to pull together to be patient together and wait, because everybody is going in that same direction. They still have to wait too. It's not just you that's waiting. Everyone else has to wait too. So now we have to pull together, either be frustrated together, be happy together, listen to music, dance together, whatever it might be. But we have to do it together. All right. Number 7 was that a GPS requires investment. When we're talking about investing, and you're talking about investing in this thing called life, what are you invest? Are you willing to invest time? Are you willing to invest your peace? Are you willing to invest your your finances. What are you willing to invest in this thing called life? Because I had to sacrifice some things in order to get to this place in life, right? When I was looking at doing 20 years in the military, 20 years in the military don't come easy, right? That means that you're going to have to sacrifice, especially as a female, um, having someone there with you, because most men are not attracted to, most civilian men are not going to marry a military woman because they are not willing to move around with her, like a civilian woman would for a military man. So then there's times you have to sacrifice married or relationship or having children, because then you have to focus on your career. You have to work harder because of the things that you may or may not get because of your rank, your age, your race, whatever it might be. So you have to sacrifice in order to get where you want to be. So for me to make it to 20 years of retirement, there had to be some things I had to invest in my this thing called life. I had to be willing to sacrifice. So my investment was to still work hard, to do what I needed to do, to still make sure that I took care of what I needed to take care of so I can make it here, right? So think about that. What are you willing to invest in this thing called life? So also there's a author by the name of Karen Ellis, and Karen said, GPS my life means to you put the address to the address you input in life determines your destination. So once again, that goes back to what the author Michael Hyatt was saying. You don't put an address, you don't get anywhere. If you are not very specific, you end up in a generalized place. So when you're talking about being in this generalized location, are you ready to be? Are you just hitting and missing? Wherever you go, then that's where you go, right? When you got money like that, then you can globe and say this is where we're going. But when you still trying to be on the up and coming, you coming on up, guess what you got to do? You got to play the game. You got to know I have to be very about where I'm going so I don't waste gas, because at one point gas was what, $5-6 a gallon. Well, but nobody trying to waste gas, right? Everybody was deliberate about their destinations. And the same thing needs to happen when we're talking about this thing called life. When it comes to relationships, I'm very deliberate. I'm not getting ready to be in a relationship with anybody just because for the fact of saying I'm in a relationship. I promise you, Quita is good by herself. I promise you that. Right? And so when we're talking about, remember I was saying we were going to talk about being lost. So some people are lost because they don't know how to be with themselves. So they find themselves lost, and whoever they come up with or whoever they come in contact with, now that is who they're in love with. That is who they are willing to settle with. But that puts them in a generalized location, not necessarily very specific, detailed about what they're looking for, what they're in need of. And then is that really the place that your destination was taking you? Was it the wrong place? How many times in their GPS and it'd be like wrong location? They tell you to make a right here, and you like, this ain't where it is. This place 3 months ago, it ain't even here no more. Are you lost? Yeah. Are you lost? And now where you thought you was going ain't there no more. Who you thought you was gonna be with, not there. The person that you thought you was married to is not that person no more. Like, who are you? This is not the destination I was going to, right? Put in the address even when you know where you're going. Do you do that? Because I do that. I still put the address in, even though I know how to get back to the place I live. I put it in my GPS every time. You know why? Because I want to see the route. I don't want to see if there's a faster route, a more efficient route. If there's something going on ahead that I don't know, if the police are ahead and I don't know, if there's an accident ahead and I don't know, I want to know, is there a different route that I need to be taking? Right? When we're talking about destinations and we're talking about addresses, I do it even if I think I know where I'm going. Even if I know where I'm going, I want to make sure that this is still the right way and the best way, if that makes sense. Okay. Do you put a general location and just shoot your shot? Hey, go for it. If you make it, you win it, it's yours. The same thing when we are talking about generalized locations. Do we really want to be general? And sometimes yes, because then this is the time to explore. Let me explain. When I first got here to San Antonio, I would always just put in the Riverwalk. because I'm like, I can find something to eat down there. I can find somewhere new to try, but I'm going to go in that general vicinity. Then I might drive around looking, searching for a different place for me to go to. Okay. That is when I was like, the generalized vicinity gives me the opportunity to still explore. So keep that in mind when you are shooting your shot. You just shooting it in the dark. Just, if I hit something, I'm good. Kind of like if you come across somebody breaking and entering, you like, I'm just gonna shoot, and if they get it, they get it. And that's more so to say, is it dangerous to do it? Possibly. If there are no risks, there are no successes. We have to take risk at times in order to find something better, something more that fits us better, right? So now that you get to that location, now that you're saying, I'm here, I'm good, I'm here. What does that mean? Do you know where here is? Is here somewhere that you intended to be, or is here somewhere that you kind of fell upon and now you're there? And now you realize you don't want to be there. How do you navigate to get out of that here place when you GPS and now you like, now this is a good example right here. I put in, I said, I wanted barbecue. I go to the barbecue place. I get there and I'm like, I'm here. And then I get there and I'm going inside. I said, that smells like old dirty mop water. That means that I'm clean. I don't want it. So now here is where I was intending on being. And then when I got there, then I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. So let me find somewhere else to make that the here instead of here. So wherever your here is, even if that was your intended destination, if it no longer fits you, I say ain't nothing wrong with picking up and leaving, going to the next. Another example, and this is for those that are going through a domestic violence. If your here is putting you in harm's way, your here no longer needs to be there. Please reach out and get you some help. In financial and you are on the brink of homelessness, please reach out and get you some help. If you can't find it, I am ever so happy to help you find that time to find the help that you need in wherever you are at. Okay. All right. Enough of that, because I ain't gonna get all mushy on you. So what about when the time to get to your destination? How important is it to get to your destination or to beat the time that the GPS say for you to arrive at? Anybody else try to beat the GPS time? Right? I'm gonna get there at 9 o'clock. What happens when you end up with a detour? You're like, man, now 9:15. I was supposed to have been there at 9 o'clock. And it may have been a very intentional, deliberate stop that God was trying to get you to slow down. Maybe it prevented you from being in an accident. Maybe it prevented you from being robbed. Maybe it prevented you from being in harm's way. Embrace. I had to do the same thing, y'all. I thought I was going to have this house. What was it? This week? Last week? I just knew I had this house wrapped around my pinky. And when they said, no, not quite, I had to let it for a little. I did. But I said, okay, so how do you bounce back from this? What do you need to do? What's your next move? And I do that. And I say that not for out of sympathy, but because I want y'all to understand that I go through stuff just like you do. It's just all in your mindset and how you handle things, right? And so I finally said, okay, so now what are we gonna do? What's the next destination? Because that's not it. That don't mean that that's where it ends. Now we go, what's the next destination? Right? Looking for a temporary destination until you can get to the next best thing, right? And so for me, does the distance and the time frame match up? If it says that it is 5 miles down the road, why is it taking me 20 minutes to get there? Then I need a route. And so whichever one is more important to you, the duration of your route or the distance of your route. Is it a shortcut, but it's going to take you more time? Or is it faster, but you may have to go through more lights? What's more important to you, right? And the last thing I really wanted to hit on is, what type of things do you value in a GPS? Is it how fast it is picking signal? If it is, if it has a big screen, is it the name brand? What is valuable in that GPS? So the things that are guiding you in your life, what makes it valuable? The people that you have, the resources that you have. Especially if you live here in America, we have so many resources, so many opportunities. And so because of that, that gives us the opportunity to grow. It gives us the capabilities to see things, do things on a much faster level than some countries, right? And then there's sometimes that I'm like, we way behind when you're talking about some of the advanced AI things of China, when you're talking about things going on in Dubai. I'm like, I don't even think I can keep up. But it still gives us um, the say, okay, that's a little bit more valuable. This is a little bit more. These people are valuable. I want to make sure that I utilize this and don't take advantage of it. Okay. So that is my time. I went over a little bit. I was trying to give time to see if my guest speaker was going to find his way in, but that's okay. Things happen, right? And we just keep on pressing. Y'all know how we do. We press on. Tonight's show gave you an insight on this thing that we call the GPS of life, right? It really showcased how we can continue to jumpstart our life of resiliency. For the present, the future, and the future generations to come. So if something that I said, some way that I was teaching today really touched you, I just ask that you do like, share, subscribe, and make sure that if not, then tag someone in the chat below. Give them the opportunity to hear the good things of being resilient and really looking at resiliency in a different perspective. And once we come back, because we will be back in 2 weeks, we will be jumping into something good. And so I really hope that I said something tonight that helps you to be resilient you, as it has helped me to become a more resilient me. So in 2 weeks, on the 26th of September, we will be discussing autumn is calling. Autumn is calling. It is fall season, so we're going to talk about autumn is calling. So I hope that you don't miss it. We may or may not have us a guest speaker. Who knows? If so, I will put it back out there again, and we will definitely talk about autumn is calling. So what is calling in the month of September just for you? So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope to give back. I hope that everything I said have given you love, peace, joy, and happiness. It is just flowing off you. It has given you a sense of peace, a sense of knowledge, and a sense of resiliency. So until we meet again, love, peace, joy, and happiness. And I will see y'all on the next time as you rock out with your girl, Quita Quee, for Real Resilient Conversations. Love y'all. See ya. Now don't get in no trouble. Don't get in no trouble, because I can't help you. I just told you our finances tight. I can't help you. Let's